Today I'm gonna show you how to make a sample inspired by Bad Bunny's new album, Nadie sabe lo que va a pasar mañana. Especially I'm trying to do something similar to the track Fina, which was produced by the talented producer Nico Baran. You might have seen him already on social media. He's crushing it right now. I started with a 4-to-1 chord progression because this was the same one that was used in the song. I layered this with a second guitar melody on top. The process on my guitars is always the same. You can watch my other videos if you want me to get more in detail. Basically, I use equalizers and compressors to make my audio sound cleaner, panning one to the left and one to the right, running both guitars into one bus channel, and also running those guitars into RC20 for some more color. I layered the same chords with a synthesizer. On the synth, I use an equalizer, compression, and a flanger to get a more unique sound. I also reverse the audio. If you reverse audio and it has a chord progression, make sure to slice up the chords individually, so you keep the same chord progression. I also use this for the intro, but on the intro I pitched it 1 octave higher, and also added a reverb with some automation, and did some pan automation too. On the intro I also used the sound from this keyboard. I found this keyboard on my girlfriend's attic. She wanted to get rid of it, and I said let me take it to my studio. And I just want to make clear, this isn't something special right here. I think it's a keyboard for beginners to learn piano, but it has a bunch of sounds and a stereo output. So I thought why not use it and make something unique. And this is also something very important for all the sample makers out there. It's not always about getting all this fancy stuff. Don't get me wrong, Arturia, Omnisphere, or even a real high-end synthesizer is super fire to use. But let's be honest, a lot of producers are using the same tools, so they get a kind of similar sound. So if you really want to make something unique, try some new stuff. Just look what's around you and try to make the best out of this. You would be surprised with how many things you can make cool sounds. So I played on the keyboard the same chord progression. And of course I added a couple of effects, like the H910 harmonizer, a flanger, and of course some EQ, and then I recorded a simple bass line with my bass synthesizer. I didn't do too much, just an EQ and compression, because I do play around a lot before I even record, so I already like the sound that's coming out of the synthesizer. I recorded different sounds of percussions. For this I used some contact banks by Native Instruments. I bounced them all into one file, stretched them out, pitched them down so it's slower, and then I added some EQ, compression, and some tape delay and reverb. I also feel like I don't need to mention this all the time, but really pay attention to pan some of your instruments left and right. Don't keep everything in the middle. Also feel free to use some pan automation here and there to create a space. This is very important for samples. For the second part I also used another synthesizer and layered the same chords again. I'm also running this through RC20 and using the Cooper time cube as a delay. I also used a synthesizer one shot for a transition, and now we come into the vocals. At the beginning I said I want to make something similar to Fina. My goal is always to make something similar and not a bad copy. So I'll always try to make something different from the original. And for the vocals I thought why not record something in Spanish. And since we're trying here to match some Bad Bunny vibes, and I'm also from Mexico if you didn't know, so after I came up with some basic lyrics, I recorded it.
Corazón, ya no puedo más.
I use kind of like the same vocal chain on every sample. If you want to know more about this, watch my other videos on my channel. I think the only difference on this one was how I used the RC20. I used the digital knob to decrease the sample rate, which kind of like gave it some digital distortion texture sound. It's very subtle, but I do care about details like this. On the second part I also decided that I wanted to add a mellotron. I did some EQ and compression, but to make this a little bit more exciting, I added this plugin called Black Hole, and I automated the mix knob for some more dynamics and to create this cool unique sound. After I arranged the sample, I bounced everything into one file, and here comes a special tip. If you have a guitar pedal at home, try to run your samples through that guitar pedal and back into your session. That's exactly what I did. I used this huge reverb effect and layered this with the original sample. I automated the volume so it just appears on specific parts of the sample. I pitched the whole sample down again. I used the H910 harmonizer again and did some equalizing, compression, and running it through tape emulation. So here's the final result. I can definitely hear Bad Bunny on this one, especially after he went into a more dark R&B trap kind of vibe. I hope you enjoyed the sample breakdown, and if you're looking for samples like this, I have a free sample pack in my description. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to learn more about how to make samples, beats, or just in general about music production. And also feel free to connect with me on my socials. I'm posting daily producer content, so feel free to follow me.